going to be talking about progressive enhancement. It sounds kind of like a boring topic because like we've heard it so much. But this is more about like how you can really put HTML5 and CSS3 into use today. There's a lot of people that think that it's something that's unstable and we have to wait, or people that think that we should start all over or something like that. But we can use a lot of it now. There are a lot of advantages to trying out this stuff. One is, a lot of the stuff that these specs represent is things that we were doing, and now it's making it into more native abilities. So with CSS3, for instance, we don't need images. We're going to end up with a much lighter page weight at the end of it. And it looks damn good. Additionally, a lot of times it's just nicer. HTML5 form controls. I mean, we can have a slider just by saying input type range, a color picker, although it's not implemented, but soon. There's a lot of things that we've been relying on 60 kilobytes of JavaScript for that now just comes baked into the browser. And performance is, in many cases, much, much better. When you're looking at something like CSS transitions or CSS animation, you're going to be getting a much better quality performance than a JavaScript-based animation. But there's been problems, and solutions have come around. So this is popularized as the HTML5 Shiv. Can we just agree that we're going to call it a shim from now on? John Resig, who originally talked about this method, has now recanted and says it's a shim. So the basic problem is that IE does not handle elements that it doesn't know about correctly. What it does is you can't style it. So like here we have this blah element, right? We want to color it red. IE doesn't allow you to style it, and it also won't hold anything inside of it. So it just if you put other elements inside of an unknown element, it just barfs all those elements outside of it into the DOM. It doesn't contain. So the trick is a document.createElement. Somehow you do that, and everything's just groovy. So that's the one problem that we found and that we solved. And then just recently, as more people started putting HTML5 into use, we realized that printing is a problem. In IE, the HTML5 shim doesn't work. Like the whole DOM is recalculated when it goes into print. So unknown elements are just they get the exact same behavior, and the technique that we've been using didn't work. So this is news as of about last week. John Neal figured out a technique, and basically it's IE has these nice on before print and on after print events. And what he basically does is takes the entire DOM and holds it cached, but then creates a shadow DOM with divs in place of all the articles and sections and unknown elements for IE. And then that gets sent to the print view, and then it gets reconstructed afterwards. So that's now solved too. This piece of code is now in the HTML5 Shiv JS that is on Google Code. Remy Sharp maintains that, and it's going to be in Moderniser as well. I think one of the things that I want to make people get a feel for is that we're not waiting for a spec, the HTML5 spec or CSS3 spec to be done. We're really looking at features. So this is a site that can I click that? No, I can't. Oh yeah, sweet. This is a site that I worked on with my friend Divya, and it's basically just a representation of what's actually ready to use. Sorry. Ooh. Wow. Cool. So basically representation of what our support looks like in browsers for certain features. For instance, font face has total support everywhere. The last browser that didn't support font face was Firefox 3.0, which is mostly dead at this point. Things like cross-origin resource sharing. So basically, cross-domain AJAX. We're good in IE8. We're good in everywhere else. And there's a lot of other things that have really stable support. Web storage is in IE8 and IE8 compatibility mode, along with everywhere else. So basically, look at the feature, not the spec. One of those is content editable. Raise your hand if you saw this demo. This is so rad. So Anavan Kestrin made this. And I'm going to show you the source first. OK. So there's nothing in the body. It's all in the head. And in a style tag, he's said that he wants the head, the title tag, and style tags to be display block. And then the body is going to be display none. And then the style tag is going to be content editable. So what we're looking at here is the head of the document. We're not looking at the body. And the style tag is content editable. So I can just edit the whole thing. Salmon color? Oh, yeah. That looks good. What is this text? Come on, really? No. WebKit. It would have worked in Firefox. Anyways, pretty rad. So content editable is another one that, it's good to go. It's support. It's been in, it was an IE original feature, and basically everyone has since adopted the IE feature. They do a lot of things right. Jeremy just showed this site, but I'm going to show you a little bit of what it is underneath the covers. So these are SVG pieces of art done with Raphael. And this is a full HTML5 validating, CSS3 validating site. Those pieces of art are right here. Script, text, X artwork. The art is defined in CoffeeScript. And the code that basically grabs them and throws them into Raphael and then chucks them into the page is also done in CoffeeScript. Lincolnshire Poacher. This guy's an Australian dude, and it's like probably the coolest site I've seen in a long time. Yeah, that little arrow is like a Unicode arrow. CSS transitions on it. Oh, it's so good. And it actually works in IE6. So it's pretty, it's impressive. There's been some tools that have come out to kind of make some of this easier. One thing with CSS3 is that if you start writing it, you're like, oh, all these vendor prefixes. This is nice and dark. Awesome. Vendor prefixes get pretty annoying. And so I put out this tool with some friends that helps fix that. So you can just use your mouse wheel or whatever, get a live preview. Maybe we'll want the box shadow to be, I think magenta is a little bit nicer. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. But anyways, things like, IE has had these IE filters for a long time. And they can do, full linear gradients. And that's been supported since, I don't know, like IE4 or something. So we have kind of synchronized syntax here. We can also handle RGBA or any sort of rotation. This is done via matrix math. It's pretty rad stuff. I wouldn't want to have to figure out how it works, but it does it so you don't have to. And transitions are, it's just like, everything that's on this page is like an animated transition, and all that was needed to define that was just these 3 lines. Well, only this line, really. We also have browser support listed on this site, so you know what you're getting. Coverage is really good. There's a few other. BorderRadius.com is pretty sweet. Also, BorderImage.com for slicing up, doing a 9 slice. representation of an image. But then the challenge is, with a lot of these, what happens when there's actually no support in the browser? You want to be able to basically catch that case and act accordingly. If for instance, if border image isn't supported in the browser, you want to know because you're probably going to use a different technique. So that is why I work on a JavaScript library called Moderniser. The basic idea behind Moderniser that it does feature detection. So we're not actually doing a user agent sniff and then saying, oh well, we know that this browser supports this because that just isn't a future-proof system. So use feature detection and actually test everything. User agent sniffing is not cool. How many people went to do their TurboTax in Chrome and got this page? Yeah, it sucked. I was like, really? And yeah, so they support Safari, and their user agent sniff didn't even pick up Chrome. It was terrible. So yeah, couldn't fill out my taxes in my favorite browser. The way that Moderniser works, I'm going to pull up the code of Moderniser real quick. As that, it does a bunch of tests. Let's grab one. Ugh. Some of the tests are really nasty. OK, so here's some cool ones. So this is we're doing a test for HTML5 video. We create a video element, and then we see if there's a can-play type method that exists on it. If it does, that basically we have support for it. So we're going to do a couple more checks to basically see if there's what codec support we have in each of the in audio and video. This one's nice because basically we were provided with an API that says what do you support. A lot of the times that's not the case. Things like session storage and local storage can get really cranky. Like if you disable cookies, you can actually get exceptions thrown in Firefox when you're doing a basic test for this. So there's a lot of real edge case stuff that we work around. So we do a lot of feature tests here, and then that gets exposed to you as a developer in two different ways. We throw classes onto the HTML tag, and so basically we have this browser supports Canvas, but it does not support geolocation. So you can just style based on that. Maybe you're now going to show the little input box where you can put in your zip code because you're not able to query for the geolocation. The other thing is we create a big JavaScript object with a bunch of booleans and the codecs, and now you can just test. So the way that it works out, you have something like border radius. And if there is native support, you're going to use it. But if there's no border radius support, maybe you're going to initialize a JavaScript library that's going to do the rounded corners or whatever. Something like box shadow. If support's there, hell yeah. If there's not, it will make some mimicked borders on the side and bottom and make it look decent. Another idea is this is like a geolocation bridge. So the way that we use it was just going to throw a callback to get location and output where we're at. Inside of it, we're going to check, see if we have native support. If we are, great, we're going to use that. Otherwise, I'm going to grab the Google JavaScript API, which just requesting this file gives you a client location data that includes the Latin long and I think city, state. It's pretty good and free. Moderniser small, it's great. It's got ass load of tests for all sorts of shit. And also, I think the way that it exposes the information to you as a developer is ideal. But please steal the tests. I mean, they're nice little atomic tests, and you can just gank it out and use that one test if all you're looking for is there session storage support in this browser. That's totally rad. Wow. OK. Do websites need to look exactly the same in every browser? No. Do they need to be experienced exactly the same in every browser? No. Is HTML5 ready yet? No. It's fucking. I hate this one. Such bullshit. This is good. Yeah. Your mom does not check what websites she likes look like in other browsers. No. Let's see. Talk a little bit here. About basically how to talk to clients about this. I think the main way to talk to clients about the fact that you want to encourage a more progressively enhanced thing is that emphasize. I mean, us as front-end developers need to emphasize that we value responsiveness and the user experience for the site and for the site's users as much as possible. And we want to preserve a really performant experience. And adding, border rounding scripts to the page for IE6 and 7 is just not going to make the page any faster. So really talking about how we can make decisions to enforce that the page is actually going to be performant and work well. Andy Clark said, what would you prefer me to do? Spend my time hack around in issues on older technologies like IE6, or would you like that time spent making the site look the best that it can on other desktop browsers as well as iDevices and mobile devices? I mean, that's really what we need to make clear to our clients, that this is the toss-up right here. I just have a few demos using some of these features. So this uses content editable. And it also uses a WebKit mask image, and then WebKit fill color of transparent, and then WebKit text stroke on the edges. So it's all CSS. There's no JavaScript.
Is this a reference implementation for what our site should look like?
Yes. This is exactly how they should look. Oh, 5? Oh, sweet. Yeah. Let's see. This is pretty sweet. I was really excited when I did this, except for the blinking. So I stole Mike Taylor's Canvas demo. So I'm drawing on Canvas, but then I'm outputting it. I'm saving the canvas every time it changes as a data URI, and then I'm using that data URI as a WebKit mask image to basically reveal the HTML content that's underneath. So it's just like standard HTML underneath it, and we just have a custom mask that I'm drawing myself. Yeah, and yeah, cheeseburger, so good. Oh, and in honor of JSConf. Whoa, not cool, dude. Yeah, Snow Pirate from Webdings, and so this is a text shadow, and it does use JavaScript. So it just changes the text shadow and makes it more blurry as it goes away. Anyways, I thought I had less time than this. I'm done. Whatever. Yeah, that's it.
I got a question for you.
What's up?
Performance, startup time for Moderniser.
For Moderniser, we're looking at all the tests run in somewhere between 30 and 90 milliseconds.
Each test or total?
Total. Yeah. It's quick. I want to keep it, I really want to keep it as quick as possible and as light as possible.
You're obviously creating a lot of elements and checking.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, totally. And it has to run, it has to run in the head of the page too. Because we need to do those create elements. That needs to happen before you actually use them. So it has to run in the head. So we keep it tiny and fast.